Hi everyone and welcome back to your weekly top 10 Magic the Gathering card sales from January 7th to the 12th of 2024. And as we go through today's video, we have a lot of numbers to dissect and some real high volumes in standard, pauper, and commander sales. So stick around, we have a lot to cover in today's video. Hi everyone and welcome back. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's content, and of course if you do, I hope you hit that subscribe button. Now we're starting out here at number 10. This is Cursed Totem. It's been on the list here for the last 3 weeks. It is in the number 10 slot this week, and sales are winding down on this particular card, but we can't forget what's just happened. This thing has had tremendous sales volumes 3 weeks in a row, tens of thousands of dollars, 1,820 sales this week, $8,100 plus in actual sales volume means even though this thing has an average price of $4.49, for a Modern Horizons 2 card, to see these kinds of sales volumes moving forward is going to be something we might see as a bit of a norm, because a lot of the singles market is really hot right now, and this at least lets you know kind of what's going on in the market space and which cards are actually attracting the most sales volumes. Now let's drop down and take a look at number 9. So here we go, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and we've got Tishana's Tidebinder, okay? This card here has been here for a while. It's kind of popped on and popped off, but the number 9 slot with 2,422 sales is still $38,461. This card is not cheap. But look what's happening. The overall sales volumes continue to rise in the singles market as more people turn away from buying or taking a risk on sealed product. This is a discussion that we've had numerous times here on the channel, and it's becoming readily apparent that more of the player base of Magic the Gathering is shifting into the singles market, and Wizards of the Coast will capitalize on this. You guys may not recognize what is going to be happening behind the scenes, but they will shift a lot of their sales to the singles market by doing things like the secret layers and doing special one-offs that allow them to capitalize on it. Be careful what we wish for. It's going to be kind of scary. But now, that was your number 9 card. Let's take a look at number 8 this week, okay? There are some weird cards on the list. Now, Mirrex kind of just came out of nowhere, guys. The sales went through the roof this week. You can see it's spiking up. It's over $10 as an average price, 2,930 sales, $31,351 in sales volume. I actually expect this card to actually have more sales next week. There was still phenomenal growth on all kinds of different stores I was checking in with, a whole bunch of individual sales. I know some people who tried to buy hundreds of copies and couldn't get their hands, so speculators are involved in this as well. Now, it is a good card, don't get me wrong. Being able to create 1/1 creatures and the things are going to have a lot of fun on the battlefield. I'm using this in my standard deck now, and that means not only are commander players drawing into this, or a vintage player or a legacy player, you also have standard players buying these cards. Keep that stuff in mind. The actual sales volumes for standard have really been going up recently, okay guys? Let's go ahead now and drop down to number 7. Now our number 7 card, Lorien Revealed. This thing's been on the list basically for months now. It kind of pops on, pops off, has some higher sales volumes. It shows there's still a real interest in Lord of the Rings cards. This thing had 3,100 sales, okay? Now we know it's been over $4 and it's been slowly trending down, but even after all these months, this card is still in there at $3 a card, or 9,300 sales. That's still really respectable for a set you're only going to see being played in Modern, maybe some Vintage Legacy. It's not a standard set, so it's not going to show up there. I mean, the idea that cards like this and all these ones that have the land cycling, they are very popular in Commander, and they're going to continue to be popular. So expect these sales to kind of trail on probably all the way through 2024. I expect to see things like the Troll of Khazad-dûm and stuff, all these things popping on and popping off as we continue this growth in the singles market. Now we're going to go ahead, guys. We're going to go over and take a look at our number 6 card. Now, some of these cards this week are ones we've seen the last few weeks, but as we get further in the list, you'll see there's a few more surprises in store for us. Like number 6 is An Offer You Can't Refuse. This is one that I've mentioned before when it first dropped that it was going to be a popular card, but here it is again, showing up from the streets of New Capenna out of nowhere, 3,850 sales, $12,000 plus in sales volume. Now, this card's been hovering around the $3 to $4 mark. It has had sales, 3 or 400 sales weekly. Nothing crazy that I've seen in the past, but it's only in the last few days that this thing started taking off. Now, I want you guys to be aware there are speculators involved here because nobody needs to buy 200 copies of this card. So when I see somebody buying a tremendous sales volume from a local store and grabbing all kinds of stuff, that isn't the norm. So when they buy 50, 60 copies, something's up, guys. Keep an eye on that card. Let's see what's going to happen with it. Now we're going to drop down to the growing rights, okay? Love the card. I even enjoy the artwork for this card, but you see it dropping into the number 5 slot. And we talked about this card when it was going down in price, that it was still going to be a popular card. Players would want to get their hands on it. But the 4,200 sales and the fact that the Lost Caverns cards are holding up so well in the secondary market isn't something that we should ignore as a group of players. Being aware that a strong sales volume for cards like this means the overall health of the set is really strong, which is great for players who enjoy the cards. It doesn't mean that Wizards won't reprint them. It doesn't mean they're not going to come back around even faster. But at least we know that this set was well received and players enjoyed the cards that were within the set. This is one of them that continues to have strong growth with players who didn't like it at $15, $20 before the reprint, but are really enjoying it at the sub $10 level. I actually predicted this card to go down to $5, so I'll be curious to see if it actually makes it there. Now we're going to number 4, and this one blew my mind. This is Gix, Yawgmoth Praetor, okay? The sales on this, it made me do a couple of double turns. 4,361 sales, okay? With an average price of $41 means $178,000 plus dollars moved in this card. That is ridiculous. That is just crazy to think that kind of sales volumes went across the board, from everywhere from Canada, the US, overseas. When I got the data and started looking, I'm like, who's buying all these cards? Why is it adding up to such a volume? Now, I am seeing this played a lot more in Arena. I'm seeing this card pop up all the time in the Arena decks I'm facing off at. Yes, I have seen it in some standard decks at the local level. But to think somebody is buying 4 of them and buying 4 and buying 4, and again, yes, I saw some speculators buying multiple copies, guys. I thought speculators were gone, but it looks like they're just trailing off to the side to see what they can get in on. Now our next card, and I still want to talk about Gix. I'll do that in the wrap-up of the video, guys. We're not done with that card yet. We have Bitter Triumph coming in at number 3. Now this is a $2 card. Very reasonable to have 4,600 plus sales because that's only $9,000 in sales volume. Usually more expensive cards trail off. A card like Bitter Triumph, people are using it. It's happening all the time. Play sets of 4. No speculators involved that I can see behind the scenes looking at the numbers. So this looks like a natural organic growth for a card that players want to get their hands on. And that's fantastic, okay? It's good to see. As compared to Gix, where there's just too many sales of a super high priced card, which means there are speculators back there doing some finger puppet movements there to try to manipulate the market. Keep that in mind. I don't think Gix can hold at that price level. Now let's go ahead, guys. You ready for this? The number 2 card. Roaming Throne has made it back on the list. This thing wasn't even on the list last week, and here we have it coming around with 6,109 sales. Now, the fact it didn't make it on the list last week, and the fact we saw just hundreds of sales racking up on things like TCG Player, local stores have it all over the wish list again as people try to get more in stock when players aren't buying any more of this set. It's kind of been stale right now for the overall sales of Ixalan, but there's a real demand for the card. Okay, so this thing had $133,000 of movement. And just like Gix, when I see cards this high on the top 10 with this sales volume, I don't consider that normally organic growth when I see somebody buying 20 copies. When I see 15, 20 copies moving on a single sales volume, that means they're trying to manipulate things and make it look a certain way. Doesn't mean it's not a great popular card, but when I see that, I just think maybe something's going to be happening, a little bit of funny business in the background. Now let's take a look at number 1. And don't worry, I will do a wrap up at the end of the video. This is the Preacher. Okay, now this thing at $591 is the number 1 card. 7,384 sales. That's $43,639. That is a great, tremendous sales volume. It's a popular card. I've used this myself numerous times. This card makes perfect sense to me. The sales are still higher than I would expect year over year at this time of year, but at the same time, We know that cards like this are being played. We see it happening all the time. And in this case of this card, I did see people buying 8 to 12 copies in some cases, but the overall volumes were nothing too scary to look at. And again, it is on some wish lists, so I'm waiting to see if this card gets fulfilled, if we maybe see a bit of a situation where more of these boxes get open because there's so many cards like Roaming Throne that do have some value. But it's an interesting time to see where the battle of the box price meets the single market. So here we are at the end of the video for the wrap-up part, and there's a couple of things, two particular cards I want to talk about that ended up on today's list, and that is going to be Roaming Throne and Gix, the Yawgmoth Praetor, okay? When you look at the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, it had strong sales. The overall box sales, though, are down now. There's not a lot of new cash going into opening product. So when I see a card like Roaming Throne, which has future potential growth, with less chance of a reprint at least for a couple of years, somebody out there is trying to speculate and corner the market. It's very apparent because for a couple of weeks we didn't see this card on the list at all. And now that you know box sales are slowing down, people are moving their money into getting, singles market, newer cards. Having that many sales of Roaming Throne just appear is a little bit suspect. A little bit odd. So I don't like the idea that somebody is speculating that heavily on a card. Number one, it just targets it for a reprint from Wizards of the Coast, but it allows players to manipulate and corner the market on a product that's not being opened anymore. At least not in great quantities, which could bring a whole new stock or flow of a card like the Roaming Throne back into circulation, okay? A lot of stores I know had people buy, 1 or 2 at a time. Some stores maybe 4 or 5. One store had like 8 this week, like on Wednesday. Wednesday they told me. So that's 8 copies gone. Now, let's jump over to Gix. Brothers War. No new cards being opened for sure. The card's popular. It does well. I've played with it in Arena myself. I've used it readily. I remember I did a box opening where I got a couple of them, actual physical cards. I've enjoyed using them in some decks I've been building with. I have seen it in my standard play when I've been playing with some people. I've seen it all the time on Arena still, and I know Commander players like to have it. So that card has a lot of popularity and desirability. $41 is the average. $29 and the change is kind of like the market where it's at. But it's sold out most places I looked. Okay, local stores and a lot of wish lists have this as a card they'd like to get, but with Brothers War definitely not being opened at this point. The product's moved on. It's going to be going out of circulation sooner than you realize, but the boxes are going to sit there on store shelves. Okay, that doesn't mean that card's not desirable. But when you see that many sales of a card that's been around this long, somebody knows something that I don't know, that you don't know, or somebody thinks they know something's coming up and they're willing to take the chance of tens of thousands of dollars buying up copies like this. When I see those two cards, Roaming Throne and Gix, kind of moving in volumes like that, it really lets you know that there's something going on behind the scenes, and a little bit of either market manipulation, speculation is all kind of going hand in hand, where players are going and thinking they know something or betting the farm on buying a whole bunch of copies of this. I'll be keeping a close eye on it. I want to see the next 90 to 120 days. We have new products coming out. We know like Murders at Karlov Manor, we get more spoilers coming up. Future sets like Bloomburrow. I know we saw stuff about that Mole God and stuff like that. There's a lot always going on in Magic. And sometimes sales like this just slide right by, and players don't realize the card's going up in volume or going up in sales because they're looking at the new flashy stuff Wizards is putting out. Then you turn around and look at a card you want to buy and you're like, when did this become a $40, $50 card? It's a reason why people watch the top 10 to see what's going on. Now, as we wrap up, a reminder that tomorrow is the reserve list top 10. If you're shopping using TCG Player, please use my affiliate link. It's found in the description of my videos. Just click this video here today. You'll see the affiliate link. Click on it. Takes you to TCG Player. Anything you buy there gets attributed back to the channel. And then, of course, it allows me to get new prizes and stuff for the parties we have here and stuff. I appreciate everyone who takes the time to do so. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, tomorrow is our live stream. I'll see you guys at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And later on today, there's probably another box opening video for 401 Games that follows through on more of these Shockland things we've been going through. So it's kind of fascinating, these last couple of videos you'll probably see in the next 2 days. All right, guys, I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Don't forget to drop some comments in the comment section. And yeah, it's time to go. We'll see you guys soon. Big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have supporting this channel each and every day, guys. Because of these patrons, these videos are made possible to everyone every single day. So a big shout out to them for making this happen. Thanks again. We'll see you guys later. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble, guys. You are here at the end, and I've got to say that is some insanity. Insanity. Gix selling $100,000 plus. Roaming Throne $100,000 plus. And people pick on the reserve list. These cards are going to get reprinted. Even if people are market manipulating everything and speccing on it, it's fine. They can have at it and take their chance. I'm probably going to make some money on some of these cards. But at the same time, just because the idea that Wizards of the Coast is going to slow down production and slow down reprints, that's no guarantee that they're not going to get reprinted in a time frame that somebody who bought 50 copies can't move that many copies fast enough. Somebody's going to get left holding the bag on all those cards, and it's going to be coming down like a brick house, one at a time, man, Jenga style. Yeah. Anyway, I thought you guys might find that fascinating. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out in the Ramble Jamble. And of course, you got to put Army of Darkness in today, because I am watching it. Like, it's literally on pause right now. I shoveled the laneway. I'm freezing cold. I did my video, and now, Klaatu Barada.